Thank you. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Gurudevana Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki Sri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kundi Gaur Dham ki Mahaprabhu Vrindavan Dham ki Lakshmana Jagannath Puri Dham ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki Nanda Devi Yamuna Devi ki Harinam Sankirtan ki Samveda Bhaktivedanta ki Antaram Shrimad Bhakti Gita ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi Om Sabha Devotee, Om Krishna Devotee, Om Krishna Devotee, Krishna. Nothing coming. Hare Krishna. It's better. It's better, yeah. That's good. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. You can put a bit lower, you know. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Antaraj Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, commentary and translated by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is chapter 3, text 5. Karma Yoga. Okay, I go for the Sanskrit, then I'll go for the translation and purport. Nahi kaschid kasam api jatu tasta akarma krit karyat hi afsita karma sarva prakriti jate gune. Nahi kaschid kasam api jatu tastati akarma krit karyat hi afsita karma sarva prakriti jai gune. Nahi kaschid kasamapi jatu tastati karma krit karyat hi avista karma sarva prakriti jai gune. Word for word. Na, no, he, certainly, kaschid, anyone, ka, some, a moment, api, also, Jatu at any time. Tistati remains akamakrit without doing something. Karyat is forced to do. He certainly. Avista helplessly. Karma work. Sarva all. Prakriti jane born of modes of material nature. Gune by the qualities. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Prabhupada. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something even for a moment. Srila Prabhupada's purport. It is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the soul, spirit soul, the material body cannot move. The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by the spirit soul, which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment. As such, the spirit soul has to be engaged in the good work of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it will be engaged in occupation dictated by the illusory energy. In contrast with the material energy, the spirit soul acquires material modes. And to purify the soul from such infinities, it is necessary to engage in the prescribed duties enjoined in the Shastras. But if the soul is engaged in a natural function of Krishna consciousness, whatever he is able to do is good for him. The Srimad Bhagavatam 1.570 affirms this. Taktva sadharmam charam bhujam hare bhajam apaktva na pataryad yadi yatra kai vidra badram abu amusya kim ko yavata api bhujam swadharmata. If someone takes to Krishna consciousness, even though he may not follow the prescribed duties in the Shastras or execute the devotion service properly, and even though he may fall down from the standard, there is no loss or evil for him. But if he carries out all the injunctions for purification in the Shastras, what does it avail him if he is not Krishna conscious? So the purificatory process is necessary for reaching this point of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, sannyas or any purificatory process is to help reach the ultimate goal of becoming Krishna conscious, without which everything is considered a failure. Om Agyanti Mandasya Gana Gana Slakaya Chakshurumeta Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapita Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapala Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagajatam Saganai Ragunayatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Pajna Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shivichkam Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandha Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So 3-5. So so in the purport it explains how the soul is always active, and we can see how in the material world, even in the material body, a person cannot be inactive. He has to be engaged somehow. And there's a saying, idle mind is a devil's workshop. So The only difference is in the material world, everyone is faced with conditioned life. This is influenced by the three modes of nature: goodness, passion, ignorance. And there's a lecture by Prabhupada. He explains how even in practicing Krishna consciousness, you may meet different kinds of people on the way in your practices. And not everyone will agree with your vision. There'll be different devotees even affected by the different modes of nature sometimes. And the example was given, but if you're strict in your practice of Krishna consciousness by chanting the holy name and seeing through the eyes of scriptures and following the regular principles, then you will not be affected by whatever happens to you in your progress in your spiritual practices. And the other example was given how if you're on a ship going to a destination, like Prabhupada gave an example, like from England to America or something, a ship is going. So you're on the ship, you may not have any friends. So you should just sit tightly on the ship and reach your destination. That's it. So even in Krishna consciousness, we are in a destination. We are going to a certain destination. And if we stick to our principles, then Krishna will give us intelligence how to deal with situations. The difficulty is we try and work things out ourselves with our own intelligence, with our own mind. We work things out. This is why it says those who have materialistic way of seeing things, they get affected by distress because they're trying to work things out with their own four defects. There's making mistakes, being illusioned, imperfect senses, and cheating propensity. So being illusion means someone's thinking, I am Mr. John, I am rich, I am this and that, but he's not the body. So that's being illusion. And making mistakes, no one is perfect in this world. Everyone makes some mistakes. But even in our dealings with others, sometimes mistakes happen. Nothing is perfect. Even that's the nature of this world. Nothing is made in such a way as to make us realize we don't belong here. So mistakes will definitely happen. But the only difference is on the spiritual path. Even if mistakes do happen, because Krishna is in the center, everything balances out. In the material world, everything is going to the laws of karma. So, like there was an example, like there was one lady, she made some dal and rice for her husband or something, some sabji, and the husband didn't like it for some reason, and he killed her. Something happened. This is in India, and for that he got imprisoned. There are many instances like that which happen where people over small thing they make a big thing out of it and they get punished for it. The mistakes happen because we don't approach the authority to find out the proper way to deal with things. There was another example Chaitanya Prabhu gave about KK and Mantara, right? And Mantara is the one who poisoned KK, right? She's the one who poisoned, like, just before Ram was going to be coronated king, she went to KK and with her influence she poisoned Mantara. Was it Mantara, right? She poisoned Mantara, who was the youngest wife of King Dashrath. So Mantara poisoned KK, right? Yeah. Mantara poisoned KK. Now, the example Chaitanya Prabhu gave in this instance is that KK could have approached King Dashrath and found out the whole situation before. And all these incidents wouldn't have happened, like vanishing of Lord Ram and Bharat becoming angry, and it wouldn't have happened. But the fact that she tried to work it out herself, then the complications came in. So in that way, mistakes happen if you don't approach proper authority. So what was it for? Mistakes, imperfect senses, being illusion, mistakes, then imperfect senses. So imperfect senses happen when we are conditioned. Prabhupada said in one of his lectures, if you're on the liberated platform, you're engaged in devotion service, there'll be less mistakes happening. Mistakes won't be so much. And because we're in the material world, mistakes bound to happen. It's just the nature of this world. You can't avoid it. But imperfections, yeah. So being illusion, imperfect sense, mistakes, and then next one is imperfect senses, right? Yeah, imperfect senses, yeah. So by engaging in the senses in Krishna's service, then we get protected from being affected by Maya. By following Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, you get protected from being affected by Maya. There are many instances where, So there was another example given about, maybe this refers to imperfect senses, because this other example, like when Lord Ram, he went to kill the Rakshasas, 14,000 Rakshasas, right, who were going to attack. So I think Lord Ram shot an arrow to Marichi. He didn't get killed, but he got thrown 800 miles by Lord Ram's arrow, and he got a little shocked up, shaken up. So at that time, he didn't want to surrender to Lord Ram. He was fearful of Lord Ram. He could see Lord Ram's too powerful. And he had some understanding of Lord Ram being the Supreme Lord. But him being a magician, he wanted to do things his way. So he went into austerities and gave up his sinful ways and like that. But when Raman's sister came, after she got attacked because she wanted to have Lord Rama as a husband, and he didn't accept, and Lakshmana didn't accept. Lakshmana cut off her nose and ears. She went to complain to Ravana what happened. So, Ravana, in the beginning, he went to instigate Marichi about something, and Marichi said, look, Ram's too powerful, you can't defeat him, look what happened to me and all this. But after Raman's sister went back to him and complained, Ravan went back to Marichi, and he said to Marichi, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to kill you. So, in this sense, Marichi was trying to work out with imperfect senses about what to do. He couldn't decide. Because he tried to work it out himself, he could have immediately went and surrendered to Lord Ram. But he didn't do that. Like Vibhishan did, he went to surrender to Lord Ram immediately. When Ravana actually, because Vibhishan was trying to get good advice to Ravana, but Ravana didn't accept any good advice. At the end of it, Ravana just threw him out the Lanka. So Vibhishan went with some of his followers and surrendered to Lord Ram. So, when a call comes to us to surrender to Krishna, we should not try and work it out. Just surrender. Especially something like that happened to Marichi. Something very clearly happened. But still, he was trying to work it out himself in his own way. But for example, if he approached Hanuman or one of Lord Ram's servants and discussed it with him, maybe he would have surrendered, on a higher level. But because he tried to work out with imperfect senses, he got... So, he was surrendering to Lord Ram in fear. This is the point. There's 3 levels. There's fear, there's duty, and there's love. So he surrendered to Lord Ram in fear. So even when he went as a deer and Lord Ram killed him with the arrow, he chanted Ram's name. So there's a difference between chanting the name with fear and chanting the name with love, isn't it? Different destinations. So this is another example of imperfect senses where he tried to work it out in his own way. But if he's approached one of the associates of Lord Ram, he would have had a much more easy access to Lord Ram's mercy. So now the cheating propensity. The cheating is like a teacher, he's teaching something. But if he's not teaching properly, he's cheating his students. So that's another way of seeing how like many of I think Ramendra Swarup Prabhu, he went to he got Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita and he read it. And then he went to Maharishi Yogi and said, look, I want to speak to you. Can you help me become free from birth, death, old age and disease? As Maharishi Yogi wasn't ready to speak in public. So he called him in his office. He said, look, if you want to surrender to Krishna, go to Swami Prabhupada. I can't help you. So even he realized who Prabhupada was. From this example, we can also learn that if we are searching for the absolute truth, Krishna will guide us in a way. He may guide us to someone who doesn't want to surrender to him. Like in his case, Maharishi Yogi told Ramendra Prabhu, you go to Prabhupada, I can't help you. So it just shows how it's either You have a choice. You embrace the three modes of nature or you surrender to Krishna. You have to surrender to some authority. You can't progress in your own way. And this lecture I heard today by Srila Prabhupada, 1:16:23, Srimad Bhagavatam, he explained how Krishna is the Supreme Lord in the spiritual and the material world. He's the center. Everyone has to have some leader. And but then Prabhupada gives an example like this Kotorsky, Dr. Kotor, he went in Russia. And Prabhupada challenged him, said, you have to have some leader. You support communist theory, Lenin and Stalin and all these. You accept the authority. So we accept Krishna's authority. You have to have a leader. You can't function without a leader. So so how is it that people cannot understand who Krishna is? Because they maintain their material attachments. They're holding on to the material attachments. And these material attachments they cover their vision, going towards Krishna. So material attachments is the real blockage which blocks one going towards Krishna. So we have to see what's favorable in serving Krishna and avoid those things which are not favorable to serve Krishna. And then 6 processes of surrender. And one is what's favorable, what's not favorable. And then have firm conviction that Krishna will protect us. And the 4th one is carry on in your practice and have faith that Krishna is there in all circumstances. And 5th is use everything for Krishna's service. And 6th is always made meek and humble. So I have some quotes by Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, quite interesting quotes to show us how this cycle of the material world can really entangle us if we try and approach it in our own way, and how the material world is a place of binding us. It doesn't free us, it doesn't make us really happy. And how Krishna consciousness really brings us happiness. So I'll just read these quotes. The question was asked, is it most important to worship Hari? And he says, without wasting more time, one should try to achieve Krishna's mercy. This applies to everyone, child, old man, young man and woman. There is no guarantee that we will live for any particular amount of time. Life could be end at any moment. Therefore, we should immediately begin to worship Lord Hari. Some people say, let's enjoy life now and worship Hari at the end of life. But this is not a reasonable idea. Time is life. At every moment, our duration of life is being reduced. Time lost can never be regained. Considering this, one should not waste time in pursuits other than Hari Bhajan. One of the Mahajans sings, Jivan Sampati Kale Karibe Bhajana Ebe Kari Kriha Sukha Kakana He Kata Nahi Bala Bhajanana Ehedana Patana E Umuka. Let me enjoy family life now. I will worship the Lord when I am old. A learned person never speaks like this because he knows that death is inevitable. If we lose the golden opportunity we have at the present to worship Lord Hari, we will not be forced. We'll be forced to suffer the threefold miseries of material existence. You must associate with sadhus to help us. To help. Only in the association of saintly persons will we become fortunate enough to understand that worship of Krishna is the life's aim. When we finally understand this point, we will give up both material enjoyment and dry renunciation and engage eagerly in His service. Thus we will attain self-realization. When we engage in the Lord's service under the spiritual master's guidance, reactions to our previous misdeeds will gradually be destroyed and we will attain perfection. So we can see from this how Krishna is playing a very active part in our life actually. Prabhupada said in one of his lectures, Krishna is more busy than we are busy. He gave an example, he said, there's 24 hours a day, Krishna is working 26 hours. He's working harder to try and bring us back to Him. But we are turning away from Him. There was, and actually, it's very important to be introspective. In order to do that, you have to practice mode of goodness. From mode of goodness, you can see things more clearly. So I'll give another vision on why the human life is very important and how we should use it. So there's another quote given here. It is necessary to worship Hari after having taken birth as a human body. Birth in a human body. By good fortune and the Lord's mercy, we have been given a human birth. The human form of life is extremely rare. And there is no guarantee that in our next life we will again become humans. By some misfortune we might become a ghost, witch or hobgoblin, animal, bird or insect. It is not possible to worship Hari in those species. Therefore we should not use whatever time we have left in our present body for pointless activities. Life is temporary, still human life can award spiritual salvation. Therefore, as long as we are alive, we should quickly earn our spiritual perfection. Human beings proudly consider themselves Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas or Shudras, Brahmacharis, Grihastas, Vanaprasthas, Sannyasis. Those who are intelligent, however, should not claim these false identities. We are simply the Lord's servants. We are not products of this world. To consider the body, the self, is an illusion. Sriman Mahaprabhu said, Jivaya Svabhava Krishna Dasa Abhibhana Dahi Atma Jnana Achyada He Jnana. The original nature of the living entity is to consider himself the eternal servant of Krishna. But under the influence of Maya, he thinks himself to be the body, and thus his original consciousness is covered. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22:201. Hari's holy name does not appear on the tongues of persons puffed up with the false ego or material proprietorship. We are eternally conditioned souls. Due to our forgetfulness of Krishna, we have fallen into illusion. Now we have no alternative but to give up our false ego and take complete shelter at the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna. Elephants think themselves elephants and dogs, but human beings should not think like this. Rather, they should be proud of their real identity. Sriman Mahaprabhu said, Jivare Swarup Hoy, Krishna Nityadas. It is the living entity's constitutional position to be an eternal servant of Krishna. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita 20:108. Lord Hari is situated in every atom and he attracts fools and learned alike. Only those who have no desire for material enjoyment, for becoming a master, nor to desire to command respect as sadhus, are qualified to hear his instructions. Those who are attached to something so insignificant as their own pride, however, will not hear the Lord's call. Still, such persons should know that death is inevitable. Adya abda sanata ve matyu ya pramata dhruva. Either today or in 100 years, every living entity must die. We are cognizant, but if despite our cognizance we do not approach the Lord's devotees and hear the instructions attentively, ruination is inevitable. There is no chance to worship Hari in any form of life other than the human form. Therefore, we should engage in Hari Bhajan until we die by giving up all our other engagements. That's the only way we can attain the ultimate goal of life. Everyone in this world is today ready to ruin us. In this land of non-friendship, our so-called relatives are unfavorable for our devotional service. We therefore have no alternative but to take shelter of Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are our actual relatives. We do not need to do anything for anyone, just serve the Lord's devotees along with others. Let everyone serve the Lord with his or her knowledge, intelligence and academic qualifications, physical strength, wealth and expertise. The more we delay doing so, the more trouble we will find ourselves in. People who follow non-Vaishnava religious principles cannot attain auspiciousness. All auspiciousness is held in the hand of those who take shelter of the lotus feet of Vaishnavas. The non-Vaishnavas are decorated only with garlands of birth and death. Persons attached to Hari Bhajan no longer enter the wombs of mothers. What to speak of Vaishnavas, even those who have the opportunity to see the lotus feet of an extraordinary Vaishnava will not take birth again. So we can see from this how if we have this conviction of falling in line of disciplic succession and the spiritual master's instructions and seeing to the eye of scriptures, taking the associates devotees, then we are not part of the material world. We just waiting to leave our bodies to enter Krishna's pastimes. In this world, we are here to help others come to Krishna. We're doing, like he said in Nectar Devotion, by helping others come to Krishna, you become Krishna's well-wisher. So, and this is why Srila Prabhupada opened temples and farm communities and like this. So to train people up how to become surrendered to Krishna. And Prabhupada gave an example. He said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:28, third canto 28 chapter, where he says that a yogi can sit anywhere and meditate on Krishna. But for those who are beginners, they have to come to the temple to see Krishna. So, if we take this practice of Krishna consciousness seriously, we can come to this stage where we can meditate on Krishna under all circumstances. And when we get to that stage, we will not be affected by the external so much. I'll stop here. Any comments or questions? It's okay? Antaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Better you put the Bhagavad Gita on top and make a picture than on your phone, you know.
It's not good, is it?
Not to do that.
Even if it's not.
It's still, virtually, still